Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 10th anniversary of Orange Tank. Really great to have you here. So it's my pleasure to introduce our MC for today, Darrell Smith. He's a 2010 graduate of Syracuse University who came back to do a graduate degree and finished in 2013. He is a former Orange football player and NFL player and is now the creator and CEO of 99 Eats, LLC, a virtual culinary brand with a mission to connect people through food, content, and experiences. Darrell Smith has shared his food innovations on The Today Show, E! And CNBC, in addition to hosting festivities, festivals, and catering Fortune 500 corporate events. Darrell, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for that warm welcome. How y'all doing? Y'all good? This is my third year in a row doing this, and I must say that every single year it gets better and better. So shout out to Whitman for taking it seriously, and then shout out to absolutely, and also shout out to the contestants for getting better. So if y'all haven't been to one of these, we're gonna have a good time. It seems boring just because it's the business school. But that's kind of why they bring me on, to kind of like liven it up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you also don't know me, for the contestants, don't play. You only have 5 minutes, and if you go beyond that, I will cut you off very quickly. All right? So without further ado, I want to introduce our judges for the night. And these are prestigious judges, so also take that seriously because, like I said, each year it gets better and better, more money, more cooler business, but also very respectable people who are going to be granting you and also not judging you, but I mean taking into consideration what you bring to the table. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our first judge, Stacy Tank. Syracuse 2002 graduate. She's a 20-year Fortune 500 veteran and current CEO for Bespoke Beauty Brands. Formerly, she was the Chief Transformation Officer at Heineken, which is one of my favorite companies in terms of branding, and also led 2 multi-billion-dollar business units for the Home Depot. Ow. In addition to her corporate success, Tank is the founder of Our Happy Place, a 501c3 nonprofit serving children, educators, and families navigating childhood mental wellness. Give her a round of applause. Next up, we got Vinny Libdell Jr. There we go. Yeah. Gonna clap twice today. 2 claps. Is a proud SU parent and established entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist who has made a mark on the central New York communities and business world with a portfolio of more than 15 partners and investments, ranging from restaurants to theaters, global wellness, real estate, and other lifestyle brands and products. Give him another round of applause, please. Yes, yes, yes. Finally, you've seen this man on your TVs. You probably also has some of his cake. Buddy Velastro, SU parent, celebrity baker, and business owner, has been a pioneer of the custom cake movement and has accomplished an insurmountable amount of influence through his work and with long-standing business or family business, Carlo's Bakery and his TLC series, not Hist, sorry. Cake Boss. You ever seen Cake Boss? Yeah, shout out to Cake Boss. Ow! Buddy has penned 4 New York Times best-selling books. Damn, that's a lot. Starred in 4 hit television shows and has a following of over 20 million fans on various social media platforms. Give another applause. Yes, please. There we go. All right, housekeeping. So this year's event has been made possible through the generous support of University alumnus John Corey. Shout out to him. Syracuse 63. Any of you kids born in 63? No? None of you? All right, me either. All right. Whitman Advisory Council member and lifetime Syracuse University trustee. Each venture will have 5 minutes to present. All right? 5 minutes. I told you this before. 5 minutes to present. 7 minutes for Q&A with the judges. The prize money for this year's competition, first place prize gets $25,000. Isn't that crazy? Ow! Yes, round of applause. Second place prize, $7,500, and third place, $2,500. All right? That's a lot of money. Lot of money. I'm happy for y'all. I'm looking forward to this. And good luck to y'all. But before we get into the actual competition, we have a short video by Jack Adler, who was last year's winner, and he's the founder of Out to Win. Put it on the screen.
What's up, guys? This is Jack Adler from Out to Win. Just wanted to wish you all good luck in the competition today. Take advantage of this unbelievable opportunity to not only get feedback, but also potential funding to take your businesses forward. So best of luck. Win or lose today, this is just an unbelievable experience, and I wish you all the best.
That was it. That was the pitch. I love that. All right. So we just going to jump right into it because that's what we're all here for. This is also pretty cool because over the last couple years, I'm going to give Syracuse some credit on this as well. We got diversity this year, which in previous years we didn't have, both in the audience and also in the contestants. So I want to give a huge shout out to Syracuse for being intentional and also listening. So give that a round of applause because that's important as well. All right? So for our first contestant, this group is called DiabeTech, and the presenter will be Tosin Alabi. You ready? Good? Fair enough.
Be fair now.
Fair enough. Hold on. Let me start it again. You let me know when you're ready. You point to me. Ready? Ready, set, go.
When I was 9, my dad was diagnosed with diabetes. And this tragic took a toll on the family. Unfortunately, when I became a teenager, he passed on to this ailment. He always spoke about his fear for diabetic foot ulcer. And when I graduated from high school, I moved to London to study software engineering and a master's in information technology. And then moving forward, I decided to pursue a PhD researching this ailment. Unfortunately, as a now single parent, my mom could not afford that. She only could do basics for the family. I moved to Syracuse to pursue this as a dream. Did you know that 42 million people currently live with diabetes, and 1 in every 4 diabetic patients has a chance of a DFU, which is undetected? We did a customer discovery and realized that there's lack of integrated monitoring and personalized foot care in the medical department. This leads to gangrene, sepsis, and a cost of amputation costs about $100,000 here in the US. Our approach is a preventive approach to create a smart sock, which is currently in its prototype stage in partnership with the biomedical department in Syracuse here, which has electronic tattoo sensor at the foot of the sock. This transmits real-time information to the patient as well as the doctor, sending signals as to the position of the wound, the depth, the moisture content of the wound to prevent the opening of the wound of all diabetic patients. We are the first in the market for this innovation. We are tapping into AI as well to send this information real time to doctors to save patients' life. Our competitive landscape. Currently, there are so many traditional wound care approach, which is basically in-house monitoring and caring for yourself. There's not a real-time smart sock that does what we do. We measure temperature, we measure the moisture content, inflammation, and pressure of the foot to prevent the opening, which can lead to gangrene or death. It's quite a big market we have. We have 11 billion total addressable market. We have 6.6 billion SAM and 663 SOM. We actually have a very growing market because it caters for all the population of diabetic patients. Our business model is prescribed by physicians, sold in packs, and also we hope to have it prescribed by doctors straight to patients. Awards so far. We currently got into the NSF ICOR program. We won awards with the Whitman Dean Innovation. We built a prototype. We received a grant from the Orange Innovation. We wrote a full business plan. And unlike my contemporaries here who are not breaking grounds in innovation or technology or healthcare, we recently this week got awarded the Extraordinary Talent Award to pursue a full-time career in the US to solve diabetic foot ulcer, which is called the Einstein Visa Award. Here is the team that we have. We're currently working with some teams in Syracuse University. I won a World Bank Innovation for this innovation to help get this to the market. Our roadmap. Currently, we have a provisional patent. We are hoping to secure an FDA consultant, which would be moving into, getting in partnership with manufacturers and also getting into the national NSF ICOR program. Our roadmap, currently, we are at year 1, Q3, Q4. Our ask is $25K. What would this do to the business? It will move us from a lab in Syracuse into a manufacturing outfit, which will help us get closer to commercialization. We cannot afford our own FDA consultant. It will give us access to that and help us get closer to saving families. Our goal as a company is to help people have their loved ones longer than I had my own father. Thank you, and help me honor his legacy.
Hello. All right. So now we'll have 7 minutes for the judges to ask questions and do the Q&A.
Maybe I could jump in. Gentlemen, shall I start? First of all, congratulations on everything that you've accomplished.
Thank you so much.
This is incredibly inspirational. So I really, my hat's off to you. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the mesh sock itself and the functions that it performs that would help prevent the ulcers. Is it about, you mentioned, I think, moisture and some other things. Is it also about movement, or what exactly does it help the person to do or signal send to the doctor that lead to a preventative measure on the ulcer?
Thank you for that question. So we've been working with some upstate medical doctors who advise that diabetic patients usually have a numb feet as compared to people who are non-diabetic. So we need a very soft material that can also carry the sensors that we need to be on the foot of this smart sock. So the smart sock has measures biomarkers specific to diabetic foot ulcer, which is the temperature, moisture, the depth of the wound, the moisture content as well. So this signal is sent to the phone of the physician real time, and it also sends a notification to the patient as to when to go for an in-doctor appointment.
So it's the act of being able to go to the doctor to get care that would actually prevent the ulcer from getting worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the smart sock it serves like an early detection, a preventive measure.
Thank you.
On the IP, so you guys have a provisional patent right now?
Yes,
What
we
is
do.
that wrapped around? Like, what are you guys focused on with that?
So we are focused on the technology of creating a smart sock and the technology of the sensor, all of the combined sensor that currently is streamlined to read all the biomarkers of diabetes, the innovation itself.
Sorry. And as far as the wear and tear on the sock or comfortability, or let's say even, is it rechargeable?
So it's not rechargeable. Here's the market approach. We hope to have it in a pack of 6. It's supposed to be disposable, so you wear it and then you pull it off, but then you put on a new one so it doesn't stop the real-time information. Because the key to diabetic foot ulcer is to have that real-time information sent to the doctor.
So is it typically like it'll last for a day or an hour, or
It's a 24-hour.
24 hours? So it's kind of like you change your socks every day.
Correct.
And you put a new one on every day. So, all right, no, that makes sense. And is it comfortable? Is it?
It's actually comfort was key
Do you have
because.
one to touch or no?
Huh?
Do you have one we could touch or feel?
Unfortunately, it's currently on the board in the lab, so any pull can distort things. We don't have one that can be disconnected from the lab at the moment. So it's built around being comfortable, because after we did our customer discovery, we realized that diabetic patients needed to be comfortable, else they would pull it off.
From a pricing model perspective, how are you guys looking at it compared to the competition?
So we are currently working on our pricing structure, but in the lab now to create one functional one would cost a couple of $100. But we hope to get in touch with manufacturers to build this on a larger scale, so to bring the price a little lower.
So you're saying a 6-pack would be $100, or?
No, we're saying to have the one we are currently working on in the lab, which is on the board, not a real one that can be worn at the moment. It costs a couple of...
So do you have any idea, like from a commercialized standpoint, what that product would look like, at the finished product at the end of the day?
Yes, it would be a smart sock that is very comfortable, that you can actually wear another sock on, and it would still be comfortable to move around.
He means from a price point.
Or from a price point.
Yeah, I mean, so there's an existing product out there right now. Compared to that, how much more expensive do you think this product will be?
We are
Or is it
hoping...
too early to tell right now?
It's too early to tell, to be honest, because we're still in the lab trying to finish up. But at the point of getting into a manufacturing, in partnership with manufacturers, we would be able to certainly tell the price.
Can you talk about the FDA approval process? I've been through that personally. It's really tricky. It's you need a lot of patience. Can you talk about what that looks like for this type of device, and then what type of capital is going to be required to get you all the way through?
Okay, so the vision for the company is to, we cannot finance a personal FDA consultant, but in collaboration with manufacturers in this field, they have in-house FDA consultants, which we hope to tap into. So that's the dream.
And is it a 10-year process, a 2-year process?
It's a within 2 to 5 year process.
I know you gave us statistics on people with diabetes, right? But from what I understand, there's a lot of different levels and types of diabetes and stuff like that. Do you know what percentage of those people would be like need to wear socks like this? You know, are we talking about 10% of the, we said, I don't know, was it 400-something million people with diabetes? What percentage does this market share pertain to? Because you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yes, I do. So to answer your question, I think that would go for the serviceable, addressable market, which is the 6.6 billion. And the reason for this is because the population of people who are diabetic already gets drug prescriptions. So once you're diabetic, it will be prescribed to you. So when you feel a little uncomfortable on your foot, you can easily pick that up, wear it, and then it tells you if you need to go for an in-doctor appointment.
How do you convince the insurance companies to pay for it? Let's say when you get it all the way to market, commercialized, it's $50 a week for your 6-pack of socks or 7-pack of socks if it's every day. How do you convince the insurance companies to write a prescription for this medical device when it's perhaps something they're thinking is incremental? Or does it help to offset a prescription that they wouldn't otherwise need? How do you get the insurance company on board?
At the moment, I can't say that for certain, but what I'm doing at the moment is talking with a lot of experts in that field to have that figured out.
Can you talk a little bit more about the competitors in the space? Are there other products on the market, and how is yours better?
So for that, diabetic patients, usually until the wound gets open, they really never know. So once it's open, the competitors are usually like normal wound care products, like bandage, in-doctor visits, periodic diabetic clinic appointments. So usually they have to go for constant cleaning up. So
I
those
think
are
we
the
know that sound. All right.
Thank you.
Give another round of applause. Let me turn this alarm off. Yeah. Very cool product. All right. Second person up. I feel like you're a regular here. For Shooka, Natasha Brao. I love that. None for old Darrell over here? No worries.
This is Shooka, inspired by tradition, crafted with new intentions. I want you to think back to that dish that you had that your grandma made or your family made that you loved. And then you went somewhere else and it was different, and you were like, what is this? Well, what if I told you that recipes are meant to be broken, and that some of the best innovation in food comes from combining flavors and ingredients from different cultural backgrounds? That's what shakshuka is. It's a one-pan dish of eggs, poached gently in a tomato and bell pepper sauce with warm spices. It's a classic brunch dish, but it's different everywhere you go. It exists heavily in almost every country around the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, but it's different and it's heavily inspired by every person who's making it. Shakshuka means all mixed up, and it's a symbol for cultural cooking creativity. It's gaining popularity here in America, on TV, on airlines, but it's still not available and people don't know what it is. Cultural recipes can be daunting. Consumers want easy, fresh, flavorful options and a brand story to connect with. Say hello to Shooka, a Mediterranean spiced tomato sauce. We sell just the sauce, and you add the eggs or mix it up and Shooka your way. But we're not just a sauce company. We created a food brand that celebrates the mixing and melding of cultures to promote creativity and encourage exploration of cultural flavors. People can't stop telling me that they like to eat this right out of the jar. Sauces and condiments is a $29 billion industry, and we're hoping to caption just a portion of that in the specialty ethnic foods category. We're targeting the adventurous foodie who wants novelty and connection with the brand, busy urbanites who need that healthy, quick meal on the go, and mealtime heroes that want to expose their family to cultural flavors. Shakshuka is early to the market. Mina, a Moroccan pantry food staples brand, has the only other shakshuka sauce on shelves, but they're not educating on shakshuka. Ethnic markets also have this product, but usually they're in another language, there's no continued relationship with the consumer, and there's no recognized branding. We're continuing to grow our brand identity, connect with the consumer, and educate on what shakshuka is and what it stands for. We're a B2B, B2C company selling wholesale to small independent retailers, eventually larger chains, and currently on an online wholesale marketplace, direct consumer on Shopify and in-person events, but hoping to expand to meal kit services, restaurants, and other online platforms. Most of our sales right now are coming from direct consumer and wholesale, with a little bit in person, but looking ahead, we need to scale to larger distribution. Consumers are cooking at home now more than ever and experimenting with new recipes. They're craving that brand story and exposure to new experiences. We're lucky that social media is playing a huge role in purchasing decisions and making that bond between the brand and potential customer. We're targeting those customers through content marketing, strategic key partners, building community, and digital marketing tactics. I'm Natasha. I've been building brands for 3 years, and I've got my master's in entrepreneurship and my MBA. But I'm really just a girl who grew up in the kitchen with her dad, learning how to cook from the heart and tell stories through food. Grad school has been all about building the business and getting my first sales and pitching to raise money. But now we've landed in New York City. We're on the shelves of New York City's coolest grocery store where people go to find the emerging CPG brands. Through Pop-Up Grocer, we're also a bestseller item on Uber Eats in New York City and on CBS's TV show Donna Drake, which reached 7.3 million homes in 25 countries. We also got in our hometown CNY's magazine. In the last 30 days alone, 60% of our viewership has been non-followers. So you can see that people are sharing Shooka, but in order to grow, we need to work with a food broker and distributor. For the rest of the year, I'll be focusing mostly on in-person sampling events and finishing the development of our second flavor. We'll be releasing that second flavor in 2025 and be ready to work with a food broker and distributor. In 2026, we're going to focus on expanding operations, fulfillment, production, and partnerships. So, some of the most disruptive food brokers in the industry right now have told me that they want Shooka sauce in their portfolio to help us grow. This is not just a sign that Shooka has potential, but it's also a sign that I need your help to help me get this product in the hands of consumers countrywide. This $25,000 would go straight to working with a food broker and distributor to get us on the shelves of stores like Erewhon, ShopRite, and Fresh Time. Last year, the Scrub Daddy himself helped get Shooka to market, but will you help put Shooka on shelves? We want to bring new ideas, new perspectives, and flavors to the modern table. So, show me how you Shooka.
Real quick, so you said Mina is your direct competitor right now?
They're a direct competitor currently on store shelves.
How are they doing in the marketplace, and where do you see their weaknesses right now?
They're doing pretty well. They sell a full line of products not focused on shakshuka, so it's all pantry staples. They're selling at a relatively competitive price point in Wegmans, in those larger stores, and on Amazon. What I think their biggest struggle is that there's no education. So how they display their product is it being used as a condiment on like a sloppy joe and pizza and pasta. And if you don't know what this dish is, you're not gonna really learn about it unless you pick it up and do the research.
Very good job.
Thank you.
It's delicious, so thank you. I have a gluten allergy and it's gluten-free, it seems, so thank you for that.
Yes.
Can you take us through the costs? So it scared me when I heard you say this is going to be D2C because this is so heavy.
Yes.
So it's going to be super expensive to ship, but
Yeah.
what's your landed cost and then what are your retails?
Okay, so I'll show you this really quick just so you can see it. So our COGS right now is $4.09. That's not including like those materials that are not considered in what you get in the hand at home. We're selling it for $14 on our website, and that allows us to have that margin that we can pay for shipping materials, pay for added value in the package where the consumer opens it and it connects with our brand. So I wanted to really test the market early on and see what I could do with this product in terms of giving it at a brand premium. So that's what we were doing direct consumer. Our MSRP is $14 for retail stores, and they choose what to do with it from there. But shipping is expensive. Shipping materials are expensive to keep that brokerage, yeah.
Well, as far as when you say a 409, that's landed to a grocery store. Is that your food cost? So you have a co-manufacturer manufacturing for you?
Yep, I have a manufacturer. That's my cost to get the jar in hand.
To you?
To me, that's not including distribution, freight, brokerage, packaging, supplies.
Yeah, so that's probably another 30%
Yep.
at a minimum.
And that's
Right.
why I built this margin like this.
Well, the thing is that if you go to a ShopRite, they're going to want a 65% margin.
Yep.
So, you have to add on the 30 plus the 65.
Yes.
Now, 840, it's closer to probably like 1050. So we have to say, are people going to buy this for 1050 on the shelves? And, the thing for me is, how do you educate the consumer, right? Because I'm in a lot of retail now. And, depending on where they put you're depending on all these stores to
Buying real
Yeah.
estate.
Yeah.
the real estate. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're at their mercy,
So-
but then you're against other things. I think the packaging pops, and you did a great presentation.
Thank you.
And it's great. Like it's subtle enough to add, but it's got bold, strong, fresh flavors.
Our responses have been the product is very fresh. It reminds them of things they've had before, but it's something completely new. So what I've heard from people who are talking to me is that they're always looking for something new to make. So they kind of want to be educated right now by new products that they want to experience. And that's what we're trying to enforce. And like I said, social media is playing a huge role, as you know. A lot of our education is happening on there and through our packaging and other messaging.
Where is it being made?
It's in Rochester. And I also am able to work with a distributor that is in Syracuse who can pick up from my co-packer who already does and go straight to Whitman. So there's somebody who I can work with right now on a little bit of smaller scale to test all the logistics.
How are your sales now?
Yeah, so I've done just under $4,000 in sales so far, combined direct to consumer and wholesale, and it's directly dependent on how much work I put into it.
Since
So,
when?
Since March. But I just graduated in May, so that has been, a struggle to focus on every aspect of the business and also encourage sales all the time.
I think it's delicious.
Thank
and
you.
I think that's really important because I make shakshuka. I like it a lot. You have to add lots of spices and spices that aren't always in my cupboard. And so it simplifies that. I think it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think if this is going to work, you have to get into Erewhon. You have to become aspirational. And I think the branding, honestly, if I'm walking by the shelf, the fishwife?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Unbelievable,
So,
right? So it
yeah.
needs to grab you like that.
Absolutely. And that's what the store pop-up grocer in New York City did. They reached out to me, put me on their shelves based on innovation, packaging, and ingredients. And I'm next to brands like Fishwife. So that community is already validating that this product is doing well, and people go to look to that community for messages that this is doing well.
So talk to us about brand building. So
Yeah.
I heard the Fishwife. I was just listening to How I Built This, driving here with the Fishwife founder.
Yeah.
So it's very in my head. And she was talking about how she's reaching out to affiliates and influencers and really building the brand and collabs. And so tell us about your marketing.
Yes. So marketing has been something that I've been focusing on a lot in the past few weeks. I've got some great interns from Whitman helping me out, bringing those fresh ideas. We're focusing, I'll bring this back up for you. We're focusing mostly on content marketing, like I said, so building creatable, savable, relatable content, focusing heavily on choosing those strategic influencers to partner with, using boosted social ads, using SEO optimization, and also doing brand partnerships. So if there's a brand like Fishwife or a sister behavior brand like a lifestyle brand, focusing on those partnerships. You know, there's so much I can do in a day, so that's the plan I'm building and working on. Influencers have reached out to us to want to do partnerships. This is a really good sign.
Great. Do it organically. Do not pay.
Yeah.
Do not
Yeah.
pay for it. You
Yeah.
really have to build it through organic.
They've been open to organic, so it's a good thing. Yeah. Looking forward to New York City, like sampling events and stuff.
And capacity capabilities of your co-packer, like you say you were able to get into 4,000 Walmarts.
Yeah, Walmart is definitely, we're more like a different pathway, but 600 gallons a day is what our co-packer could do right now. They're expanding their facility, so they're doubling that. They currently co-man for Wegmans and other brands, so I'm confident they have the capacity, but I'm working right now to make sure that the recipe is scalable with them and make sure that that's something that can grow with them instead of doing 200 jars at a time, or 400 or 500 like we're doing now.
And if you were able to do more, what does that cost go down? Where do you
Yeah.
think you...
Cost comes down about $6 a case if we were to do 46.
All right now.
Comes down
Great
$6.
job, great job.
Great job.
Wonderful job.
I love this. Here we go. I also want to point out, give a round of applause for everybody who presents today, because this is a very hard thing to do, to come up here and be judged by not only a panel of like esteemed judges, but also in front of their peers. So please give a round of applause to everybody who's doing this. All right, moving right along. We have Iconic Cloud by Waqar Hussein. Hold on one second, my bad, sure. My bad. You waiting on me. Give me the beat sound. Let me know. You ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Hello, everyone. My name is Waqar Hussein, and today I'm here to actually tell you a story. So meet Delita. Delita is a modern-day businesswoman and also the founder of Elevated Creations, an e-commerce store supporting parents' days and their lives every day. She's also driven by a passion for making parenting easier and elevating parenting life. And as we can all imagine, she's also a mother of 2. So here's some key priorities that Delita has in her day-to-day life. A, making sure that she can expand her business to reach more and more families, and also make sure that she can balance her work while spending quality time with her family as well. But we all know it's easier said than done. And there are a few key challenges that her current system faces, which is preventing her from doing this. A, the fact that her front-end website is easy enough for her to manage, the back-end really lacks the agility to be able to grow. And while there are specialized cloud infrastructures out there which can allow her to do this, she really doesn't know who to get to and how to set it up. Even if she does find someone who is specializing in those key areas, it can cost her tens of thousands of dollars to actually get to that market. And we've seen this time and time again. Small businesses, if they don't get the right tools and the right direction to grow their business, they fail. So this is where Iconic Cloud comes in. Iconic Cloud is a completely managed and customizable solution which allows people to be able to grow with their business. And it's also very user-friendly, which means that she doesn't have to sell an arm and a leg to actually get a system administrator set it up for her. But most importantly, it comes with effortless deployment and scalability built in, which means that the system can actually scale with the growing needs of our business as well. With our platform, you can actually select your best cloud providers that you're looking for, also choose the location that you're interested in. You can choose from applications like WordPress, which is a simple system, but if you need something more, you can choose that from the drop of a button. Most importantly, what our system really does is it streamlines payments for you. So someone like Delita had to pay 4 to 5 different types of vendors, licensing cost, all of that can actually add up. But our system does it all, streamlines it in one single payment at a fraction of the cost. And so, with a click of a button, your system is deployed. Which is why I'm really interested about and excited about the cloud management market. While the market is really huge, with our focus on small businesses, if we're able to really concentrate on 0.25 of that market space, we're looking at $86 million. Our revenue model is currently based on subscription services for people just like Delita, but if you're someone who needs a bit more, we do offer tiered product offerings as well. One of the areas where we've been really successful is cloud and custom agency partnerships, which has been our most profitable area yet. But what I'm really excited about is for the past few months, we've really been working on using spot pricing to buy those compute pricing for a lower price and are able to sell it at a higher one using AI. And I'll tell you more about it in a bit more detail. Our subscription service currently covers a bracket of $20 to $220 a month, where we have a margin of a contribution markup of around 40% on top of it. And with spot pricing arbitrage using AI, we've seen 45% profit margins. And what it really means is that we're allowing them to switch and hop from one server to the other without really worrying about moving things over. While there are systems out there in the space that are doing kind of similar things that we're doing, none of them are doing all of them at once, and none of them are really focusing on spot pricing at this moment, especially because it's very difficult to get into. And there's a huge gap in the market which is ready to be exploited. But we're not only talk, we actually have some traction. We have 20% month-over-month growth rate, and over the past month, when we've opened our beta launch, we're looking at 700 people who've signed up for our waitlist itself. We have good conversion ratios, and we've done a lot of testing, but most important of all, we have secured 3 enterprise partnerships with whom we have 2,000 applications currently deployed. Best of all, we've also been recognized with awards and early validation in the industry as well. So, what's next? We really want to be able to scale AI-driven switch hopping with faster transitions. I'm really hoping to actually talk more about that later. And we're focusing on transitioning from closed beta to a full launch now. In the long run, we want to become a cloud product marketplace for small businesses. Why us? Iconic Cloud is a product of Icon Pro Solutions, which is a digital design and development agency led by students. And we're really able to leverage our deep insight and hands-on experience in working with small businesses, which is how we're really focused on this next step. My name is Waqar Hussain. I'm a current Fulbright scholar and a second-year MBA student. And while I do that, I reminisce over the years that I actually started running the service business from my college dorm room as an engineering student. And I've been helping people just like Delita, and I understand their problems, which is I know that there's a real potential in the market that could be exploited. So, with Iconic Cloud, entrepreneurs like Delita don't have to choose between growth and balance. They can have both. Thank you.
5 minutes, there it is. Right on the button, there it is.
Very nicely articulated. It's really, really good. Where do you, from the closed beta to full launch, explain that process, where you're at, and how long it's going to take you?
So right now, we've really been focusing on a system where we're focusing on organic community-focused outreach, and we've been able to get around 150 customers so far. It's closed, which means that we've partnered with freelancers and agency partnerships, which are giving us their customers who need this. So right now, it's the closed system, and we're really profitable with it, but the next step is to be able to open it up to people and actually scale it up. So we need infrastructure that is able to support that growth, and we're really focused on doing that. So that's the next step for us.
So I run a small, medium-sized business right now, if you call under 50 million, whatever, this kind of area. So pitch me. How would you help me? I run a beauty business. Tell me how you would, what goods and services can I buy from you?
So for a business like yours, if you're using different types of people, you're probably paying tens of thousands of dollars to people to manage the infrastructure to be able to scale it.
What infrastructure? My website?
Yeah, for your application. So if you're a small business that just has a website, it can be fruitful to them as well. But for other businesses that have complex applications, like accounting softwares or anything else that
So
they have deployed.
QuickBooks, Shopify.
So QuickBook is a service in itself,
Yeah.
but a lot of enterprise or small businesses, they have to create their own customized applications. If you're a software service that has an application or a service out there, they get really distraught when they can't scale. And a big part of it is when they get the number of people coming to them, the system crashes. And when they want to be able to solve that problem, it can really rack up. They don't know what to do next. You're not technical as a business owner.
So take us through an example of your best customer and exactly what problem do you solve for them?
Okay, so for people like Delita, a small business, when they do get to see a lot of growth within their business, their systems can't support
What
that.
kind of like specific
So
example?
specifically for Delita, it is her e-commerce store, so the back end where her website is stored. And when she gets a lot of customers coming on there, it can crash. So for them, we create the whole system, and actually she doesn't need to support anyone who helps them set it up. So she can actually go to the system, click on a few buttons, and the system is deployed and managed by us. It's all automated, so she doesn't need someone full staff to manage it.
But are you guys making the websites, or are you subbing out like to a Shopify and this kind of?
So for Shopify, it's a complete system in itself as well. For anyone who has more specialized systems, like a WordPress website, or someone who has more complex SaaS websites as well, they create their own backend. And for them, we're really simplifying all of that for them in setting it up for them.
But
We're providing the
you're
backend.
You're enhancing someone else's product.
Yes.
You're not creating your own website or
No.
whatever.
So what we've seen is that all of those big companies like Facebook, Google, what they really do is they support entrepreneurs in their growth. So we are that. We're not setting up their businesses for them. We're really there to be able to help them grow, which is why we can see a lot of people are really happy with our product as well.
So you mentioned you secured, I think, 3 new enterprise partnerships
Yes.
that were kind of signature partnerships. Can you
Yes.
take us through those as examples?
Yes, so we have around 3 enterprises. They are offering their solutions where they're setting up their softwares for these businesses. These can sometimes be small businesses, but with agencies, this can actually be big applications as well. They have around 10 to 15 people just managing the back-end server costs for them. And we've actually set up 2,000 applications in total for them that are currently deployed on the system. So that means that they've actually taken out hundreds of thousands of dollars from those people that they had to manage. So we're taking away jobs, but we're creating a good system, a profitable system.
Who are the enterprise partners?
So I can share those details with you after this. This is currently not public information, but these are good agencies currently here in the US. Some of them are making millions of dollars through their application itself. So I'll share that with you in a bit more detail.
Where do you see what is your best customer? I mean, is it a large?
It's enterprises, yes, because for our focus is on small businesses, but those enterprises with whom we provide these products, we're really able to create a whole marketplace where they can provide them different solutions. So think about it, if you're setting up a business and you're doing the legal registration, if you're coming to a business that does legal registration for you, they would ask, okay, do you need extra insurance? Do you need extra things on the side as well? By having them on board, we're able to offer them those solutions.
Last question for me. So this is a very crowded space. How do you plan to stick out? Like, it seems like.
So it's actually not that crowded right now. There are not a lot of applications that are doing it. And the system, the way that they work is if you're paying Google or AWS $100 a month as a small business, the systems that do deploy and give you this access, they charge you double of that. But we have good pricing. But most of all, the system that we've been able to set up with lower pricing tiers and are able to buy it using AI, we're able to understand the trend analysis. And we're able to understand when those pricings are available at a lower cost. I think this is the biggest system that no one is currently doing. And part of the reason why is when people try to switch from one server to the other, it can take their website down maybe for hours or maybe even days. We do it in 20 seconds.
But are you guys trying to buy bigger blocks from, say, a Google or an Amazon, and then selling it to the people cheaper rather than me going and buying it for $100?
So that is also a queue, but people, when they go to AWS or Google, they have already selected the system that they want to use. So they say, I'll be paying $100. We give them the option, but we have already bought and secured that pricing at a lower cost as well. So we make some profit off of that as well. But essentially, they choose where they want to deploy it. We're a solution in between, which is taking away the manual labor of connecting those two areas.
Down the road, let's say you scale the business to $100 million in sales and it's wildly successful. What kind of exit partners could make sense to you? Who would want to buy your company?
So there are a couple of partners and people that we've really been working with, and there are advisors in this situation as well. The last company that they bought was actually a competitor of ours, and they bought it around $6 billion. So we've actually been working with them, and they're helping us build in the extra infrastructure. So what they're looking for is a system that can actually complement the customer base that they have as a completely valid system on the side. So those are potential partners that we could be looking at. And one thing that really sets us apart within this competition especially is because we don't need to be able to go to customer by customer. Once it's all set, it's all scale. It's all at the click of a button. I hope that answers the question.
Well, our time is up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good job.
We got two more. Fourth team, Niffy Drone, and it will be pitched by Angelo Niforatos. You built that? That's cool.
Okay.
Hold on, you let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready. Hey everyone, I'm Angelo Niforatos. I'm the CEO and founder of Niffy Drone Solutions. We aim to revolutionize the way people fly drones, and we envision a future world that's empowered by the efficient use of drones. So a little bit about myself. I'm actually, I absolutely love technology, if you couldn't tell, especially disruptive technologies such as AI and drones. I have a calling really to start my own business and become an entrepreneur, and that really stems from my grandfather. He was an excellent entrepreneur, and I would just love to follow in his footsteps. I have a bachelor's in physics and a master's in mechanical and aerospace engineering, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA here. I have 6 years of DoD and commercial experience. I worked at Lockheed Martin, and more recently I worked for a startup here in Syracuse that deals in the drone industry. So we've found through our own experiences flying drones and conversations with pilots that there are plenty of complex problems and pain points associated with drones that prevent the wider adoption of them. The first one is data overload. And really, pilots need to consider a lot of information such as weather data, flight plans, and safety considerations before they fly. Complex controls is another one. Really, like any aircraft, a drone is very difficult to fly. In fact, the FAA recently released a campaign that's called the 12 Days of Drone Safety because so many people were crashing their drones during Christmas time. So troubleshooting, even the simplest drones contain about 50 components, and a pilot's expected to understand each and every one of them intimately. Post-mission analysis. Really, our pilots are conducting missions where they're collecting and analyzing specific data, and there's a lot of it. And our company provides a solution to these problems through an integrated, an integrated solution that leverages cutting-edge AI technology. And you might be thinking to yourself, yep, everybody talks about AI, but what makes it unique? Well, we're leaning forward and we're building a robust, all-encompassing solution that works with or without internet. The technology provides insightful analysis and interpretation of incoming data from the drone. It's extremely simple to use. If you know how to text, you know how to fly, and you can even talk to it. AI does make mistakes, so what happens if the drone does something it's not supposed to do? Well, we keep this in the back of our mind while we're implementing and designing our prototype. So let's get into some market insights. The global commercial drone market sits at $26 billion today, and it's expected to grow to $55 billion in 2030. From that $26 billion, we're expected to capture about $400 million worth of market share. And then listed separately below is the military SUAS industry, and we anticipate tapping into that in the near future. So once we prototype or once we have our prototypes complete and we look to commercialize, who are we going after? So a majority is going to be commercial companies that utilize drones, and also we're going to target drone manufacturers themselves to potentially partner with them. We do want to target federal agencies as well, but this will be through phase 1 and phase 2 SBIR programs. And that's really to help us significantly with customer discovery and research and development. So we're extremely excited and proud of all the traction that we've made so far. I founded the company in February of this year, and in April, we put together a comprehensive business plan that we've been iterating and enhancing ever since. We have filed for a non-provisional patent in June of this year. We've won 2 Orange Innovation grants in May and October of this year, and that really enabled the successful demonstration of our prototypes that we built, which is the tethered drone that you see here, and our AI solution that actually was used to fly this drone. So where are we going? One of the major near-term goals that we have is to win a SBIR program. And on the left, we have 3 roadmap items that we need to hit in order to get there. And below that is the funding that we would use from winning this competition to hit these prerequisite roadmap items. So for $10,000, we'd be able to prototype our proprietary software service. And for the full $25,000, we'd be able to hit all these prerequisite roadmap items. And that includes integrating our prototype, our AI prototype, with existing drone platforms other than our own. So with that, let's solve the complex problems that drone operators face together. Thank you.
So you said you were working on a patent. You guys don't have a patent yet.
Oh, we filed for a non-provisional utility patent. Yeah, so I think they mentioned it takes about like 2 years to actually get. So I guess we're just in limbo until we hear back from the patent office.
Well, just because, with the kind of like disruptiveness of AI, right? It's
Yes.
coming into everything. And the way that I understand that this is going to work, just to make it complex, it's like the feature on your car that if you veer off, it kind of steers you in the right lane. So
Yeah.
if you're about to crash your drone, it's going to kind of combat it or take it over and...
Yeah, it's actually going to even take it a step further than that. So really, and what we did for our demonstration was we basically spoke to the drone. So we would say, hey, can you take off to about 10 meters up in the sky and stay there? And then, okay, why don't you move about 100 feet to the left? And this is me speaking to it, and the drone would do that. So on the side, you also have an abort button that we put in. So because of the comment I made, AI makes mistakes. Like you're saying, what if if the car drifts off or anything like that? There's an abort button that you can hit, and it'll stop the command that the AI is executing. So there's robustness in that design as well.
How is it working with and without connectability, the internet connectability?
Yes. So what we demonstrated for this is with internet connectivity, but our proprietary solution involves the offline environment.
That's where the patent comes in?
That's where the patent comes in, yes. So that would require additional hardware, as you might expect, GPUs. Probably a couple of them would be my guess at this moment in time. But yeah.
Can you talk about the competitive landscape? Who else is trying to simplify driving?
Yes. Yeah. So actually, a lot of people, right? Like I mentioned, a lot of people are using AIs, especially. Obviously, it's happening in the drone space, right? So our competitors are really focused on like the edge case scenarios of drones. So like you mentioned, like object detection, or if you veer off course, like they're there as an edge case. So we want to provide that all-encompassing solution that, right, it handles all of that. It also handles how they're ingesting the data, and it can communicate that data back out to them in something that they can quickly understand.
But now the AI lives in a drone, right? So just say for some reason I disconnect from my remote control or however I'm flying it, right? Is it going to know where to go or what to do?
So the AI will live on they call it the ground control station, so the GCS, and that's basically a laptop that is connected to the drone through a radio link. So when they're flying the drone, all that software is living on that laptop and not on the drone. And that's simply because if I were to put that on the drone, it would increase the weight, and I'd run into trouble there.
Have you applied for any of the cyber grants yet? Are you in the process?
I did apply to my first SBIR grant, beginning of October, and it was for an AFWorks grant. So
How did it go?
It went pretty well. I think it helped me I'm really happy I applied for it just to get the exposure.
It was a great, our previous business, we won a lot of those, and it was really helpful for the commercialization in the governmental space. It was very, very helpful.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. That's exactly why we want to do it. And even the phase 1 SIBRs, that can enable us to go to some additional conferences. Like I'd love to go to an AUVSI conference out in San Francisco, I think it is, or San Diego. And that would all enable it, and they'd help with customer discovery and prototyping if I get a phase 2.
What's preventing other companies from trying to replicate what you're doing? So you have some intellectual property you're trying to protect.
Yes.
And you have a degree in physics, and you have your Lockheed experience there with the DoD work. But what else? Can you talk a little bit about the moats that exist?
So really, the only thing, I feel like eventually this kind of solution would probably, someone would think about it, right? So that's why I went the route of patenting it, because otherwise I would have kept it a trade secret if I thought it was that, that much of a secret sauce. But I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people start to adopt this, but this is sort of an early technology. So I want to target a lot of the people that are interested in becoming an early adopter of it.
And the solution is software and hardware, right?
Yes, it'll be a software and hardware solution. However, I want to have basically tiered subscriptions. So initially, right, with internet connectivity, all you would need is the same laptop that you would use to control your drone. But if you went to the highest tier subscription, I would have to provide you your own ground control station with those GPUs that I was talking about.
I have a question. Could the software be uploaded to existing drones, or do they also have to buy your hardware for it to be compatible?
Yeah, so actually, the software lives not on the drone, but on software that a lot of operators use, and I've been using more recently an open source software. So that is used by extremely large amounts of people. Yes, yeah.
If you could wave a magic wand and pick your perfect launch partner to go with you on this journey for commercialization, who would it be and why?
Perfect partner, just...
To launch, a signature customer.
Oh, a signature customer. I would love to launch it with Lockheed Martin, honestly. Yeah.
Have you had help? I mean, the drone market here in upstate New York there's a lot happening. Have you had a lot of help from local businesses?
Yeah, actually. So the company that I currently work for, they deal in a sector of the drone industry, and they've been an enormous help to me and helping me understand exactly how to build a more competitive
It seems
kind
like
of
they
product.
could really help you refine this and help you move it to market. So there's tremendous resources here locally with that.
Yeah.
What about the liability, right? I mean, because now these things are flying all over the place, and with AI, I mean, call me old-fashioned, but it gets a little scary, Do you ever worry about that coming back at you guys?
Yeah, so right now, the FAA is putting in place a lot of laws and regulations to sort of facilitate that and reduce the risk. One of them they call beyond visual line of sight operations, and that basically would need, my software and my product or my drone or whatever would need to go through rigorous testing to make sure that, yes, okay, an operator can use this and we can be sure that it's safe to use.
That sweet, sweet sound.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Man, that's cool. How long did it take you to build that?
How long did it take you to build this?
Yeah.
Well, if I won that Orange Innovation Grant in May, and I demonstrated it in July. So,
Shout out to you, man.
a couple months.
All right, moving right along. We've got our last contestant with Campus Labs, Emeka Osai. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, how's everyone? Good? Let's go. All right, hi everyone, my name is Emeka Osai, and I'm a second-year MBA student, and for the past 15 years, I traveled around university campuses looking for the next generation of talent and skill sets from campuses. Now, innovation is rising globally, and if you read the book by Thomas Friedman, it tells you that the world is flat. young people are taking the future into their own hands and designing the future that they really want to do. But there's something interesting that's happening. The talent in African universities do not have the infrastructure and the spaces for them to get the support to be able to innovate from end to end. But it's interesting to see that it's in paradox with what is happening here. The African educational system is valued at about over $30 billion and it's growing. 375 million young Africans will enter the global economy by 2030. And if you look at the data, at 2015, it was just $400 million in venture capital funding for startups. But at 2022, a whopping $5 billion had actually come in. That tells you that something is actually really happening. And if you look at this, it tells you something, that an investment in an African founder is an investment in the world, in the future of global innovation. One of the solutions here talks about Obenwa. Obenwa in my language means the cry of a child. And what these guys are doing is using machine learning to detect through the cry of a child if a child will actually have asphyxia at birth, which is super interesting. However, what Campus Labs is trying to do is to build these spaces to be able to catalyze this innovation on campuses so that many of these young people, their ideas will not die and they will be able to get the support in terms of broadband, the space, the support, the mentorship, and the funding that they actually really, really need. And this is not just all talk. I traveled around university campuses for 15 years like a missionary, running programming in terms of conferences, boot camps, hackathons. And one of the things I realized is that young people really want to build if they get the enabling environment. In 2008, I started with Wake Up and Smell the Coffee, which eventually grew to 2,000 students from 6 universities attending one event and Microsoft participating. And if you travel, it's a very busy slide, and it tells you we've actually been very busy. In 2024, last summer, I was back in Nigeria running our first startup acceleration program. And guess what, people? In 5 days, we had 73 applications for just 10 slots. I had to tell the team, we have to shut this down. I'm not sure we can actually take more than this. That's 73 lights. We just said no to about over 50 people, which actually is something that really breaks my heart. However, we have some proven success stories just to tell you. The gentleman here on the right is Coyote. Coyote was in our program in 2010. And one of the things that makes me very emotional is seeing these young people really knowing them as undergrads becoming global superstars. Coyote used our program to pitch himself to a venture capital fund. He rose to become a partner and recently launched his company called Talstack. Talstack recently raised $2.1 million. And this summer, one of the startups we worked with is called Dokia, which is a group of medical students who are frustrated with the wait times in seeing a doctor. I mean, they should be in the lab reading, right? But the problem is so much that they really want to build solutions to these problems. Now, we talked about this impact, the problem. You need money to be able to sustain social impact, right? And these are some of the proven revenue strategies that we actually really have. They are actually really proven. And some of these companies, we've actually generated revenue from them. From Nestle, what we did was we built a coffee shop to teach students experiential entrepreneurship. And they were so successful. People said coffee would not sell in Nigeria because it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. These kids took coffee from 0 to over 400 cups a day, that the global head of coffee had to come to Nigeria and say, what is happening on these university campuses? And with Coca-Cola as well, we're able to run different programs. So companies are willing to pay if you can tie them to some of the programs and the benefits that they will actually really, really get. Now, what will $25,000 do for us? $25,000 will do something for us. It will give us our first permanent home because we've always been traveling. So think of us like this. We come to this campus, we have 6 weeks of programming, and then we have to go. Everyone is all cries and tears. Why? Because it's been the most transformative 6 weeks in the life of these young people. And then we have to now start meeting on Zoom, connecting to the mentors online and all of that, and connecting to the whoever they need to do. But what this will do is we'll build our first space. So we don't have to say bye to these kids anymore. They can walk in there, they can get the infrastructure, they can get the support, they can get the mentorship and the connection to the founders that we actually really need to scale their ventures. Here is the team, and the fun part again is that Kashope was a winner of the Enterprise Challenge in 2012. He's also trying his hands on entrepreneurship. And right now, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very exciting. 15 years on college campuses observing. It's certainly,
Absolutely.
yeah, a big breadth of knowledge to pull from. I appreciate that you talked about the sustainability of the model. Because at the end of the day, with a grant of $25,000 or with Microsoft and Nestle and Coca-Cola helping you, it can get you so far, but it doesn't always create sustainability. Can you talk more about how you can make this habitual instead of a one-time event?
Oh, exactly. Thank you very much. So what we are doing is we build this first space. In this corner, what you have is you have the coffee shop at this angle. So what I do is I put in a bidding war between Coca-Cola, Nestle, or Pepsi. It's going to be one of you that's going to own this place. Then I create a fellowship, which is the Coca-Cola Ambassadors Program. They are going to run that corner for the students to learn how to run the business. What's in it for the companies? The companies are getting consumer insight, what the next generation is thinking. For the students, they're learning how to actually really run a business. And we actually got this from our coffee shop model. They are getting the skill set, the leadership, understanding how to run a business. And for the university as well, their students are actually becoming much more employable or being able to actually start a business. So for the company, what is happening for them is just marketing as well, and at the same time, not just brand equity, they're getting return, they're selling every single day, and the brand manager can go back to his marketing director and say, look at the numbers, we're selling on this campus every day, look at this data. So when you quantify everything, it's actually a worthy investment. Secondly is the talent pipeline program. One of the things that really happens when I talk to KPMG, Accenture, PwC, is they say, we need a steady pipeline of talent for our corporations. And one of the things we'll be able to do is design a talent pipeline program. So we are the center of gravity for the smartest people on the university campuses. I'm the guy who sees Shaquille O'Neal before he becomes Shaq. You know, very wonderful opportunity. And what is easy for them to do is to upskill these people, which becomes a pipeline to this company. KPMG can pay for a KPMG Fellows program for their talent team. And what you have is steady revenue stream that consistently happens besides the other things that actually happen in the business.
Well, I've been to Nigeria.
Oh, really?
I've been to,
Where did you go to?
Lagos, and
awesome.
It was a wonderful experience. But my question: are you just focused on Nigeria or throughout all Africa?
Oh no, we're going around. So Campus Labs is actually setting up this network of spaces, but we want to build our first space in. And what we do really is look at places that have a lot of universities. So we are actually setting up these spaces to scale, because when you look at the numbers, 375 billion young people will be active by 2030 in the global economy. That's a big opportunity. And every single time, there's always this young person who is trying to build something, who's trying to, leverage technology to solve a present problem. And, what happens is that the opportunity actually exists for us.
But your business model is to get the sponsors like the Nestle's or the Pepsi's or whatever, or the Coca-Colas, to kind of put in a coffee shop or some sort of lab or something that they're selling to generate revenue, right? I mean, that's really the only revenue stream model?
No, so there's a talent pipeline program as well. I'll just take you, what I should do is go back to the slide. There are 6 revenue streams. The first one is the partnership. So when you talk to a company, there are 2 things. Either you are doing marketing or you are doing talent. The HR team is looking for talent. So we have a different conversation with them. For the marketing team, they are trying to do sales. It's a separate conversation for them as well. So each person has a different specific need that they're trying to fill. Companies are always going to ever need talent. Companies are always going to compete for the best talent in the room. So what I do is I own this space. I don't go to them to give me the money to build the space. We own the space. So you have to fight to own the space. We're on the campus. We have the numbers. So it's yours to lose.
So you're recruiting. You're basically the recruiter. You have the talent. And
and at the same time as well, we also have like a pipeline for ventures who are looking for the next big ideas.
Which one of these do you see leading the program to start? Like, is it sign up at the university partnerships, obviously?
Well, in terms of that, the margins that we've experienced, really, the margins from the companies are big. So from a company, you can easily do $20,000 for one project. And if you do about 10 projects in a year, that's $200,000. So you don't really have to be talking to too many customers. What the coffee shop does for you is that it brings in steady revenue to be able to run operations on every single day. But the talent pipeline and the corporates are actually the biggest wins for every one of us. And then in the long term as well, it's potentially betting on a company that is coming out of the space that we can have a very big exit that can happen. So you have a short term, you have a medium term, and you have a long term revenue stream.
Why do you think no one has tried to do this before? Or maybe if they have, what was successful or less successful?
The challenge is, so think of it this way. There's difference between being a teacher at a higher level and being able to teach young people. It's a whole different skill set. It requires a lot of patience. And I actually stumbled on it in my final year in university. So it takes a whole lot of difference. And because you have to bet on these young people. And sometimes people want immediate return. So we actually even stumbled on this revenue model from our journey over the years. And how did we stumble on it? It was when we ran our first coffee shop and we had 400 students compete for it. We had 4 winners and we had 396. We lit the fire in them and we just walked away. And I'm like, oh my God, what if we expanded this coffee shop and we had these 396 coming back here to actually really innovate? So that was what we're like, oh my God, that's very different. Traditional models is, I find the startups, I bet on them for the long term. But we have been able to find that model. But it came actually a very painful journey of about 15 years to actually discover that. And at the same time also, there's domain expertise that's critical. It requires a lot of patience. Many people have tried to go to university campuses because they don't understand. They'll be like, he's 18, he came late to the meeting. I understand the 18-year-old. I understand what he actually needs. I understand what phase of life is. I understand how to talk to their parents. So it requires, it's a calling. You actually really have to believe in this to be able to see the opportunity. If you've ever been in a situation where everybody's running away from something, but there's something that you see because you spent enough time to be able to see that as well. And as we've been able to move over a period of time, we are getting people saying, okay, we might be interested once you set up the space to be able to partner with you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So is the space a pipeline for people or a pipeline for products from Nigeria?
The space is it's a space where the young people can actually walk into every single day. There are 2 tracks. You're either trying to start a business or you're launching a company. And that's what the space is all about.
My bad.
That was your question. Yeah, I don't gotta go a little bit.
Did it to myself.
So good. Great job.
Good job, man. Good job.
All right, so that was the end of the competition. Well, for this portion, please give everybody a round of applause.
Good job. Very nice to them, guys.
So what's going to happen next is the judges will exit. They will talk amongst themselves, and then they'll come back with whoever won. All right? In the meantime, we got somebody very important coming up here. We're going to let them do their thing. Also, give a round of applause to the judges. Yeah. Especially the contestants. Butter up. Try to get that money. Eye contact, eye contact. There we go. Here we go. Smiles. There we go. Try to get that money. Try to get that money. All right. So while they are deliberating, we're going to welcome to the stage Maria Minetti. This is a very long bio, so you know she's a very important person. No, you can come to the stage. Yeah, come on up. Yes. Yes. She is the Louis A. Bantle Chair in Entrepreneurship and Public Policy, Chair of the Department of Entrepreneurship and Emerging Enterprises. Professor Minetti is the Director of the Institute for an Entrepreneurial Society, a research institute housed in the Whitman School of Management. She is also the Louis A. Bantle Chair in Entrepreneurship and Public Policy at Syracuse University. Her primary research interests include entrepreneurial solutions to social problems, economic growth, and the entanglement between regulations and innovation. Prior to joining the Whitman School, Minetti was professor and Bobby B. Lyle Chair of Entrepreneurship in the Cox School of Business at Southern Methodist University. Minetti has previously taught at Babson College, Skidmore College, and New York University, and has held visiting positions at the London Business School, the Max Planck Institute, Humboldt University, Aalto University, and the Copenhagen Business School. Without further ado, round of applause. OG coming to the stage. There you go.
Hi, everybody. I didn't know they were going to read all that. It makes me sound very old. Like I've been around too long. And by the way, I got it wrong, so I did a very convoluted entrance. Anyway, it's really a pleasure to be here. I'm Maria Minniti. I'm the chair of the Department of Entrepreneurship and Emerging Enterprises. A great department and really a sign of the commitment of the entire university and Whitman to entrepreneurship. We are one of the very few universities to have a dedicated department, academic department, dedicated to entrepreneurship that is at the core of the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem of the universities. And we are very active in a variety of things. We have about 15 full-time faculty dedicated to entrepreneurship, both teaching and research, and again, sustaining all the wonderful things we do. Every year we produce a report. Here it is. You have it in front of you, and this year we wanted to be mindful of paper, so we got the little thing, and you can just zap it, and then you can read the full story, and there are additional stories that we couldn't fit in a one-pager, and I strongly invite you to go to check out all the things that me and my colleagues and our students and the alumni are doing, and there is really a lot. A lot of things, both in terms of student involvement, business creation, teaching, research, and new programs. I'm going to highlight just a few of these things. They gave me only 5 minutes, so I can't really go through everything that I would like to do. I'm a professor. We like to talk. But if you just, if you look, for example, at the increase in activity in our digital content at Whitman, you will find the imprint of a wonderful group of students. It's a student-run POV digital marketing agency, and you can read more about them and the wonderful work that they're doing. Here they are. So again, just to mention some of the few things we are doing. Moving next, we are going to talk a little bit about teaching. We have really a wonderful, dedicated group of professors. Students every year select the Professor of the Year. And this year it was Ken Welsleben, one of our own professors. Some of you probably got those classes. Let's give them applause. Ken is wonderful in the classroom, and it's not the first time that he gets elected Professor of the Year. So that's quite an achievement and really a recognition of the commitment and the passion that our faculty puts into this. And then, of course, we want to continuously update our program and offer new things. And so, given the importance that the issue of sustainability in general and the development of new ideas, we are developing new classes. A new professor has joined us, Paul Montes. You can read more about him. And we are also offering new programs. As you can see from the next slide, what we are offering is now a new Master in Sustainable Organization and Policy, which is a joint venture with the Maxwell School, excuse me, with the Maxwell School. So again, also an interdisciplinary approach to complement all the offerings in our classes, in our courses, and all the experiential learning that we try to develop and provide for our students. And we could talk more about research. Again, if you go online, you can see there are dozens of publications of scientific articles that are produced by our faculty and also by our doctoral students that over time we translate into practical application, both for entrepreneur, emerging organizations, as well as established organizations, because entrepreneurship works everywhere, even in established organizations. And also, of course, we translate for policy. So please do check out our report. It will give you a sort of a glimpse of all the stuff we are doing. Visit the hatchery, revamped, a lot of programs are going on. There is always a lot of noise going on there, which is a good sign. And we hope to see you often. Come to visit. Don't be strangers. And I hope you continue enjoying the event. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I didn't even have to put on the alarm for you. That's perfect. Perfect timing. All right. We actually have a pre-recorded video that we're about to show from the pitching teams, so we'll put that on and y'all get to see everybody in their glory, do their thing.
What inspired me to start up my company is my dad's diabetes diagnosis. And when I was a kid, he was diagnosed with diabetes. And when I became a teenager, he unfortunately passed on to diabetes. He always spoke about his fear for diabetic foot ulcer. Unfortunately, there was no proper solution for diabetes. So graduating from the University of Greenwich, London, I decided to pursue a PhD. Unfortunately, my family could not afford the high bills that come with that. So I decided to turn this passion into a business venture that can impact a lot of more people in the society.
I was inspired to start my company because I always wanted to be in the food industry. And I looked at all these businesses on the shelves and I said, they can do it, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to. And there was really an opportunity for shakshuka in the market, so I said, why not do it now?
The inspiration to start my company came in my college dorm room when I was actually working as a freelancer to build websites and web applications for small businesses. And as I grew that into a company, it was a real struggle to figure out what these small businesses were going through. One of the main challenges that they had was that once they had their applications deployed, if they really wanted their business to grow, they couldn't do it with their old systems that they had. So Iconic Cloud is a service that we came up with by working with a lot of these small businesses over the past few years. And we figured out that they need a system that can be deployed easily and that doesn't need any kind of management or hiring someone.
One of the biggest inspirations I have is my grandfather. My grandfather came over here from Greece with a 6th grade education and he became a successful entrepreneur. In addition, I absolutely love drones. Back in 2016, right when they were becoming a little more popular in the consumer and hobbyist industry, I picked it up immediately.
Probably final year of undergrad, and one of the things I realized was that there were lack of programming that prepared students for life after school, you know, and I just realized that we were all very big on like getting great grades, but what kind of careers were we trying to start off? What kind of industry should we be going to? And what really helped was, like, it took me a while to get into college. You know, I got to college at 22, undergrad, right? And so some of my friends were already working, and I realized that a lot of them wish they had information that they should have had in undergrad, that maybe they would have made better career choices. So I said, you know what, guys, let's start something. It's called Wake Up and Smell the Coffee.
Winning the competition would help my company create a product eventually, because we've been trying to raise capital to finish up on MVP, and that amount would definitely help us get closer to having it mass produced in the market to help the growing number of diabetic patients who are probably have early diabetic foot ulcer get early detection of this problem.
Winning the money from the pitch competition will help me actually work with distributors and food brokers to help me get my product in stores regionally and nationally, more than what I can just do by myself.
Winning the competition can be really helpful. SU's been really great in supporting us and putting us out on the map with all of the small grants and awards that it's been able to give us. But doing this and winning this can really help us do the next thing that we've been really working on, which is getting the product to launch and working on marketing. That's the biggest area that I'm really interested in doing right now. So fingers crossed.
Winning this competition, one of the biggest things that'll help my company grow is the $25,000 cash prize. With that, I can look to productize my prototypes that I've been in development with. Also, any direct labor costs associated with not just the hardware, but the development that goes along with that. And secondly is the exposure on social media, getting the interest from potential investors or other companies that might be interested in a partnership with me.
25K will help us pilot a program real quick that can generate revenue. We'll be able to launch a talent pipeline program, which is something we see like some of the top consulting companies are looking for the next generation of talent. And that will help us to hire the right kind of people who can work on this programming and help us to begin to generate revenue also from that stretch.
That's it. I love it. I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like I commend everybody in here because it's gonna be a lot of people that you'll encounter in life who don't know what they're doing, right? And like they're gonna go through their whole life and do something that doesn't really move them. And so when you get to do it at a young age and you get to follow your passion and you listen to that voice and you let that move you, that takes a lot of courage. So whatever you do, I will say it might change, it might, whatever. You might not win today, but just don't stop. All right? Like that's my biggest advice. As an entrepreneur, if you start something, don't stop because even in food, like I've been in food for 8 years now. And when I started, it was something totally different. And then years down the line, I get to do other things. But the key to it all is that over time, the data that you collect and the way that you're able to apply that data to your everyday life and the things that you do and the impact that you'll have on the people and on yourself, I wouldn't trade that for the world. So at this age and for the old people in here too, it ain't too late for y'all either. So follow your passion, and if it keeps calling you, just let it move you. All right? That's my advice. You're very welcome.
All right, how's everybody doing? Good, all right. So this was a very difficult deliberation, as you can imagine. It was a hard thing to do in 25 minutes. So before I start with the top three, I just wanted to announce a last-minute prize awarded by Vinny Lobdell. He wanted to award $1,500 each to Campus Labs and Iconic Cloud. So that's a special gift from Vinny to you guys. Okay? All right.
And if you don't, before we do that, I just want to say you all did an amazing job, okay? And in your journey as entrepreneurs, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be bright days. You're gonna want to give up, and you're gonna feel defeated, and then wake up the next day and go after it. You got to just keep at it. You got to keep believing yourselves, and that's how you win. And so, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. And you gave us such a hard choice.
That was bad.
I mean, honestly, we deliberated down to the last second. Yeah. So you should all be very proud of yourselves.
And it changed multiple times.
It did change. We were all over the show.
Yeah.
Really.
We did. Actually, Vinny, do you want to say something too? And Stacey, you can actually address the contestants. Yeah.
I've been right here where you guys are at, and it's really hard. And like, no matter where it comes out today, you guys should you should feel so proud of yourselves. I mean, most people never have an idea, and then they never materialize an idea. And so for getting this far, you guys should just be so proud of yourselves. And I think no matter where it ends up, you guys just got to keep driving forward, right? And I think all these ideas will land somewhere really, really important. So thanks for the opportunity today.
Cool. All right. Stacey.
People always say it was really close and we were, debating to the last second, but it was completely true in this case. And we were each advocating for your organizations and your business plans and quoting our notes. So you're an incredibly impressive group. And as someone who's now coming from huge businesses and running a mid-sized growth phase business, I pitch all day long for funding and I am told no hundreds or thousands of times. So it's true. You just keep going and you learn something from every single experience. And please know we will all be rooting for you.
All right. Awesome. All right. So yeah, and I can attest to the fact that it was down to the final second, without a doubt. So in third place with a prize of $2,500, Shooka. All right, in second place with a prize of $7,500, Niffy Drones. Thanks. All right. All right, and taking the top prize in Orange Tank 2024 10th Anniversary Edition, DiabeTech. All right, well, that concludes our program for the day. Thank you so much, everybody. All right.